Namaste everyone. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. I am Gadadhar from International Institute of Vedic Sciences, Rishivatika, and welcome all enthusiasts of Vedic science and Sanatan Dharma who have joined us live on this Rishivatika YouTube channel today. Let us start this session with a short prayer. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Today we have with us Shri Dattaraj Deshpande ji, the speaker of the day, and I welcome him today to give talk on Are Vedas and Shastras God-given? This is the 65th talk in the 108 series of Dr. Vedavyas Memorial Online Lecture Series conducted by International Institute of Vedic Sciences, Rishivatika. On a popular demand from our viewers and members, this December, we are organizing special talks on Vedas. We will have talk on each of the Veda, and today, Dattaraj ji will give an introduction to the Vedas and will touch upon few important aspects. Tomorrow we have a talk on Rigveda, and coming weeks we'll cover other Vedas. So now let me introduce today's speaker, Shri Dattaraj Deshpande ji. Dattaraj ji is a Rigveda Ghanapathi and Dasagranthi from Bangalore. His entire education happened through oral tradition or Guru-shishya tradition, and he is a gold medalist from Karnataka Sanskrit University. Currently, he is a full-time volunteer at Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal and working towards the revival of Gurukul Education system, and is presently based at Chennai. The topic of today is, are Vedas God-given? Commonly, the perception among the masses that Vedas or Shastras are similar to Bible or Quran in Hindu religion. In reality, it is much different. When we say Shastras, people think it's a belief system. That's also a misconception. In this talk, we'll get to know the source, the nature, and the structure of Vedic texts. So I would now like Shri Dattaraj ji to start his presentation and talk on the subject. Namaste, Dattaraj ji.
Thank you, Gadadhar ji. I hope I am audible properly.
Yes, sir, yes.
Okay. Let me start with the prayer. Omkarah praudhamoolah padakrama sahitas vistirna shakhaihi hritpatras sama pushpo yajuradhika matho tharvagandham dadhanaha yajñachaya sameto dvijamadhupaganais sevyamanah prabhate madhye sayam trikale sucharita charita patuno veda vrikshaha. Namaste everyone. As Gadadhar ji said in the introduction that there is a misconception that Vedas, they say Vedas, singular, Bahuvachana, they use Bahuvachana, not singular. Because in Oriental studies took place in 18th century, 19th century, and 20th century. We have many institutions and scholars studying through the Oriental structure. Oriental study means the area of study of South Asian countries. Their culture, their religion, their civilization, everything is studied from a Western perspective. Western scholars has been sent here to study India. They started writing about it. Then later, institutions like Sampurnananda Sanskrit College were established. Today we hear Griffith's name so much. Every scholar quotes Griffith when it comes to Indian history or Veda and everything. Griffith was working in Sampurnananda College, established in Varanasi. He used to hire scholars and understand from them and write from his own understanding. So the whole understanding of Veda or Vedic literature or Bharatiya culture comes from such works which are done by Western scholars by coming here, staying here, and studying it, and writing it into journals, in books, and everything. That is called Oriental study. So when we Google something about Veda, or we try to get a book from any university or anything, all the knowledge is written by Oriental scholars. Therefore, today Indians also think like Westerners in terms of their own civilization, their own culture, their own gods, Veda, rituals, and everything. So our perception has become Western perception due to the colonization and the Oriental studies. Oriental studies is much more dangerous than the colonization. Colonization happened in terms of politics, but the Oriental studies happened to change the culture. Complete understanding of the culture has been structured, engineered, and altered according to their view. Therefore, today the whole world considers or perceives Bharat through the Oriental lens. Therefore, many of us think that Vedas are source texts of Hindu religion. First of all, Hinduism is not religion. Even for the sake of identity, if you consider it as a religion, Vedas are not the same kind of papacy, same kind of papacy or God-given things like Bible or Quran or Judaism source text. Later, along with the Oriental studies, evangelical people who came to convert Indians into Christianity also started doing research and interpreting and explaining Bharatiya texts to Indians and to the world so that they can convert Indians. So this evangelical literature also is there. So Oriental study and evangelical study, two kinds of studies have been done on Indian texts. So when evangelical people's intention was to malign, make them feel inferior, make us feel inferior, so that we will get converted. Therefore, they intentionally look down upon our texts and conveniently, according to their convenience, they interpreted and translated our works. Starting from Max Muller. People think Max Muller has done a favor to us by translating our texts into English. But the fact is, even though without being translated into English also, Vedas were all spread all across the world. Now we are getting to know by many archaeological evidences that Hinduism or Bharatiyata or Vedic culture was widespread across the countries despite not being translated. Because then when the Indian traders went there, they established their own culture there, and the locals got attracted to it, and they learned it in its own form. Therefore, there was not necessary to translate English. That's why we should not think that they have done a favor by translating our text into English. Even Max Muller also has done the work. And academic world take them as a references, and those references influence Bharatiya literature also. If you look at the journalists all over the world, they when they speak about Hinduism, they consider these English translations as references. Therefore, the whole world's perception towards Bharatiyata or Bharatiya culture has become distorted. Therefore, we also have lost the true perception, true view of our own culture. Therefore, I try to introduce complete Bharatiya Vedic literature, Ashtadasha Vidya and Chatushashti Kala in today's talk from our own perception. How Bharatiyas should look at our own divine texts. Basically, let me go back, and if you look at the religion has three essential things. Dattaraj, can somebody please switch on the video, because it's if I look at somebody, it will be easy for me to speak. Okay, okay. Otherwise, it will be like speaking to the wall. Sorry for deviation. So, if you look at the religion, there are main three things in the religion. One is God. Second one is prophet. Third one is papacy or commandments. God resides somewhere in an imaginary place. God's place in religions is some imaginary place out of the world. Out of this world, there is some place where God resides. That's their idea of God. And He created this. And to make people understand the God, He sends prophets. Periodically, He sends His prophets or His sons. God and prophet. The third one is He delivers His commandments through a prophet. So therefore, God, prophet, and papacy are commandments. These are essential structure, essentials for a religion to exist. So first of all, God's place is somewhere else. He cannot be here. Second one is He chooses some people. He chooses some special people. They announce that they have been chosen. And the third thing is, whatever that prophet says becomes commandment. It's illogical, even though it is illogical or unacceptable to a rational mind, it is a commandment, has to be accepted. So this is the nature of religion. But Vedas or Bharatiya Bhagavan, जिनको हम भगवान कहते हैं, whom we call Bhagavan or Paramatma or Ishvara, is different from the God, because He does not reside somewhere in the imaginary place. You might have heard that there will be stages in the cloud nine, like there will be stages in God's place. So floating in the cloud nine, like they say, there is some cloud. That's number of cloud is ninth, and above the ninth cloud, God resides. But Bhagavan, Ishvara, or Paramatma, whichever we call, does not reside somewhere. That's the difference, main difference between Bhagavan, Paramatma, or Ishvara and God. Second difference is Bhagavan or Paramatma does not send any prophet to deliver his message. Rishis are not prophets. Even Ramavatara, Krishnavatara are not prophets. So there is no similarity between prophets and rishis. There is no similarity between Bhagavan and God. There are many characteristics that they vary to each other. And the third one is Veda or Shastra or anything is not a commandment delivered through a prophet. Therefore, there is a fundamental difference between Vedic religions. If we agree to call it as a religion, there is a difference between Vedic religions and Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Therefore, we should understand this fundamental difference before looking at our Vedas. There is a conflict between religion and science, Abrahamic religion and science. Therefore, there is always fight between rational people, scientific people, and religious people in Europe and all other places that have Abrahamic religions. Therefore, if there is some similarity between religious fact or religious belief and scientific fact, they celebrate it and they project it as some achievement that see, this is similar to science. In that same mentality, Bharatiya people, Indians also have started finding science, finding Western scientific concepts into Veda, somehow interpreting it into alignment of science and claiming that see, Veda also has science. This has been the case since a century. We are hardly trying to validate Vedic wisdom with a Western science. This should not be the case. Let us see why. First of all, what is Shastra? If somebody says, is this written in Shastra? People ask in social media also, if somebody says something, is this written in Shastra? If something is written in Shastra, it should be accepted as if it is some commandment. That's the perception. Recently, you might have heard about True Indology suspension from the Twitter. There is a Twitter handle called True Indology, which is very famous because he puts out so many facts regarding Bharatiya culture and historical aspects. Therefore, he is very popular. And recently, during Deepavali, Karnataka government had banned firecrackers. And some IPS officer by the name Mrs. Rupa IPS, she tweeted something, and True Indology person said that this is Bharatiya culture, how can you ban it? Immediately she asked a question that in which scripture it has been written that you should use firecracker. So this debate essentially comes from a position that if it is written somewhere, you should celebrate. If it is not written in Shastra, you should not celebrate. So there is no room for the parampara. There is no room for the new creation of a new parampara and acceptance of a parampara. Only those things should be accepted that has been written in religious books. This is the position of the debate. The True Indology guy provided some proof to her, and she immediately made his Twitter account disappear with her influence, and that became a big controversy. But even though True Indology person propagates Bharatiyata through his facts and research, he also responded from the position that it should be written somewhere. He found some Purana slokas and gave it to her to prove that it has been written and it is authentic, proper traditional practice. But we should understand that his stand is also faulty because he is also thinking that it should be written to be practiced. But Bharatiyata needs not written a commandment in some book to be practiced. We can, if something is useful, something is helpful, we can start something new and it can turn into a parampara. For example, many people say that applying vibhuti has not been written in Vedas. Arya Samaja people claim that applying Vibhuti has not been written in Vedas. Therefore, Vibhuti should not be applied. This is also a perception of Protestant Christians. Protestant Christianity came out of the Christianity and looked at only if it is written in the book, and also they made a New Testament. So they created a New Testament and they agreed to follow the New Testament. That is Protestant Christianity. So similarly, Arya Samaja people wrote their own interpretation to the Vedas, like a New Testament, and said that only those things in the from this interpretation are authentic, and all other practices are ill practices, wrong practices. So this applying Vibhuti also comes under wrong practices according to the Arya Samaja people. So just because it has not been written, it does not have mention in Veda, should we stop applying Vibhuti? Isn't it useful? Isn't it helpful for us? Isn't it helpful for us in our sadhana? Doesn't it have any meaning? Theoretically, physically, and spiritually, all three dimension benefits we have by applying the Vibhuti. So we should apply our Viveka. We should not search for the references in the Veda. Is it by our own Anubhuti? How helpful it is, we can experience if we mindfully do it. I'm using, due to lack of word, I'm using the word mindful. Otherwise, if you do enough sadhana and pay enough attention, unwavering attention towards our practices, we can experience and I understand, is it useful for us or not? For example, getting up at 5 o'clock is a simple thing. But if we pay attention to the impact of getting up at 5 o'clock, if we pay enough attention, we may realize what all are the benefits of getting at 5 o'clock. Similarly, if we pay enough attention, do some sadhana on it, we may understand the difference. So some rishis, some people, spiritually advanced people understood certain things and they created certain new practices. That's how even today we can create some new sampradaya, new practice based on the benefits that it provides to the people. So that is how Bharatiya culture is open architecture. We do not depend on some commandments, and basically Vedas are not commandment at all, and we should not try to validate them through the Western scientific principles. To understand this, we have to understand the nature of Vedas and structure of them and everything. There are Ashtadasha Vidya and Chatushashti Kala. Today we are going to get to know about Ashtadasha Vidya and Chatushashti Kala. So Veda and Shastra are synonyms actually. Shruti is Shastra only. Apart from Shruti, Smritis are also known as Shastra. So what is Shastra? Shasti cha trayate cha shishyate anena. This is the definition of Shastra. किसी भी विषय, विद्या अथवा कला के मौलिक सिद्धांतों से लेकर विषय वस्तु के सभी आयामों का सुनियोजित सूत्रबद्ध निरूपण शास्त्र है. A proper, structured and comprehensive, complete explanation or understanding of any aspect is known as Shastra. For example, Ganita Shastra, Bhugola Shastra, Shilpa Shastra. Like that, we call them Shastras. Today, we are calling social sciences. Social sciences is known as Samaja Shastra in Bharatiya languages. Bhauta Shastra, physics is known as Bhauta Shastra. So we use the word Shastra as a synonym to sciences actually. Shastras are fundamentally sciences. At the place of science, we use the word Shastra. Even in Telugu language, even Telugu, in Bengali and Marathi, and many Bharatiya languages, scientists are called as Shastravetta. Even in popular newspapers, daily newspapers, you may see ISRO Shastravettalu విజయవంతంగా శాటిలైట్ని పంపించారు. అంటే శాస్త్రవేత్త, దిస్ ఈజ్ సినానిమ్ టు సైంటిస్ట్స్ ఇన్ భారతీయ లాంగ్వేజెస్. ఇట్ మీన్స్ సైన్స్ ఈజ్ శాస్త్ర ఓన్లీ. Therefore, we need not try to validate Shastra through sciences. For example, Vyakarana is a Shastra. Vyakarana Shastra is a science of sound. Similarly, physics is Shastra of Bhautika Vastu, materialistic science. So, fundamentally, if we look at the usage of terms in Bharatiya languages, many things will get clear. We try to understand everything through Western lenses and through English. That is why we struggle hard to understand simple things. We do not pay attention to our own usage of words in our mother tongue. Many things will be clear. So, this is the fundamental difference of Shastra and religious books. Shastra is comprehensive, complete understanding of any subject in the world, be it spiritual, be it physical. If it is about dharma, we call it Dharma Shastra. Many people think that Shastra is only about religion or only about rituals. In Hindi, you might have heard that शास्त्रों में लिखा है क्या, शास्त्रों में है क्या. शास्त्रों में ऐसा बहुवचन प्रयोग करते हैं, प्लूरल यूज करते हैं, but they do not know how many shastras are there and what is called as shastra. People do not even know what is to be called as shastra, but they say शास्त्रों में लिखा है क्या. किसी भी आध्यात्मिक या धार्मिक सांस्कृतिक विषय में ओनली रिलीजियस कल्चरल इश्यूज शास्त्र में होते हैं, ऐसा लोगों का मानना है. बाकी सब जो है विज्ञान है. In Karnataka, earlier they used to have Bhauta Shastra, Samaj Shastra and everything like that. Later, when the socialists and communists took over the intellectual world in 60s and 70s, they became textbook writers. They joined the textbook writing committee and all. They replaced the word Shastra with Vijnana. Therefore, today if you look at textbooks in Karnataka, it is called Samaja Vijnana, Bhauta Vijnana. The Shastra word, they had an allergy towards the term Shastra because they looked at Bharat through the lens of Oriental studies. They studied in foreign universities like Columbia, Oxford, Harvard. They came to India and became decision makers in education system. Therefore, their perception of Bharatiya literature was distorted. Therefore, they had an apprehension or allergy towards the word Shastra. Therefore, the Shastra word has been replaced with Vijnana. Even in Hindi, people think Vaigyanik baate aisa कहते हैं. Vaigyanik means scientific. But what is the word Shastriya? You might have heard about Shastriya Sangeeta, Shastriya Nritya, Shastriya Bhasha. What it means? Western world has something called as classical. They have a concept of classical literature, classical dance, classical music. Classical means that which ancient. Only being old is a eligibility criteria to be called as a classical. It need not be the scientific one, the useful one. Even if it is not useful, just because it is ancient, they call it as classical. But in Bharatiya languages, we call it Shastriya. Shastriya means the scientific one, the comprehensive one. You cannot find faults in it. If you find fault, it is Ashastriya. If it is unuseful, it is harmful, it is ashastriya. So we have to understand that the word Shastra literally means scientific. Shastriya means scientific. So Shastriya Sangeeta means scientific music, scientific, that which is helpful, useful, comprehensive, that which nurtures us. If it is unscientific, how it is going to be helpful for us? So therefore, we should pay attention to the word usage of Shastra in our languages and bring back Shastra in the place of Vijnana. We have to correct the errors that has been done by the Marxist and socialists in the education system. If you look at the Bhagavad Gita, even Krishna mentions Shastra. Yeter vimuktah kaunteya tamodvarai stribhirnaraha acharatyatmanashreyaha tato yati parangatim. He talks about 3 doors of Naraka. Trividham Narakas Kama Esha Krodha Esha. नरक के 3 द्वारों से विमुक्त पुरुष अपने कल्याण के लिए साधन का आचरण करता है और इस प्रकार परागति को प्राप्त करता है. कौन से शास्त्र किस द्वार से? यश शास्त्र विधि उत्सृज्य वर्तते कामकारतः न स सिद्धिमवाप्नोति न सुखम न परांगतिम. यह शास्त्र विधि उत्सृज्य, जो पुरुष शास्त्र विधि को त्याग कर, if somebody leaves the path of Shastra, means if somebody does unscientific things, if he tries to do things in his own way, अपनी कामना से प्रेरित होकर कार्य करता है, वह पूर्णत्व की सिद्धि प्राप्त नहीं करता है, न सुख को और न परागति को. Let us take an example. We have to go to some bus stand or airport or some place. We have to use our indriyas, karma indriya, legs and body in a proper way towards reaching that place. Not only that, we have to follow a proper route which heads us toward the place. And we can use vehicles, and we have to reach at certain point. Otherwise, if we reach not at the right time, even if reaching is not going to be useful. If we have a flight at 7 o'clock, we should reach the airport by 6. If you reach by late, it's not going to be helpful. And if we reach some other airport, that is also not going to be helpful. And if we do not use our indriyas properly, we might get hurt, and we can spoil our health also. So if we do not follow a proper way, a scientific way to reach an airport, and if we do not reach at time, it is not useful. So the reaching to the airport has its own way. It needs to be done in a certain way. Then only it is going to be useful and safe. Similarly, everything, yes, shastra vithi mutsrujya, if we avoid, if we deny the shastra, if we deny the scientific process and try to do our own, do things in our own way, वह पूर्णत्व की सिद्धि प्राप्त नहीं करता है. They cannot attain the fulfillment, nor the result, nor the fruits of that action. This is what Krishna is saying. It can be applied in worldly activities and spiritual activities also. This is the essence of this is the proper understanding of Shastra. Even Krishna says you have to do action according to the Shastra to get full outcome of it. Tasmat Shastram Pramanante Karya Karya Vyavasthitau. This is 16th chapter, 24th shloka in Gita. Tasmat Shastram Pramanante Karya Karya Vyavasthitau. Jnatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartum Iharhasi. Therefore, Shastra is a pramana, is a manual, not commandment. Pramana means not commandment. Pramana is a manual. Tasmad Shastram Pramanante Karya Akarya Vyavasthitau. What to be done, what not to be done. Everything needs to be decided by the Shastra. Jnatva Shastra Vidhanoktam. If you know the Shastra Vidhana, you have opportunity to do accordingly. Iha arhasi. This is what Krishna is saying about Shastra in Gita, Gita's 16th chapter. So where did this Shastra come from? How do we follow it? Is it a belief system? So Vedahi yajnartham abhipravrittaha. Vedas, वेद जो है यज्ञों के लिए ही वेदों का आविर्भाव हुआ. You may see this line in Yajurveda, Veda hi yajnartham abhipravrittaha. This is from Krishna Yajurveda. So if Vedas, if Veda has its purpose as yajna, if yajna is the whole purpose of Veda, then what is yajna? The above line, Veda hi yajnartham abhipravrittaha, makes it clear that the purpose of Veda is to yajna, is to facilitate yajna. What is yajna? We'll look at it later. What is yajna? Yajno vai Vishnuhu. Vishnu himself is yajna. Yajno vai Vishnuhu yajna evantatah pratisthati. This is also from Krishna Yajurveda. So what is Vishnu? If you look at Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Durga and Ganapati, these are Panchayatana Devatas, Panchadevatas. I spoke about this in my first talk, I think. Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, Nigraha and Anugraha. These are the 5 actions needed for the creation. Srishti needs to happen. Sthiti, it needs to be sustained. And Laya, it needs to be recycled or destroyed. If something is not being recycled, then Srishti is not possible. So Srishti, Sthiti, Laya are parallelly happening. It did not happen some time ago, some millions of years ago. It's constantly it is happening. Srishti, Sthiti, Laya action is happening constantly, process. And Nigraha is control, monitoring, regulating. Regulation is Nigraha. Nigraha needs power, therefore Shakti, Durga. And Anugraha, facilitation is needed for all this to happen. That facilitation, Anugraha, is done by Ganapati. So Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Durga, Ganapati. These are the 5 devatas. 5 devata are the form of Paramatma. In Shaiva Sampradaya, Shaivas consider that Shiva himself plays all these 5 roles. Vaishnava Sampradayas consider that Vishnu only performs all these 5 roles. In Saura Parampara, they consider Surya as Paramatma. Veda also says it. Surya only does all these things. And in Shakta Parampara, in Shakti Sampradayas, even in Lalita Sahasranama, Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, Karini, you might see such words. So according to Shakta Parampara, Shakti only does all these things. And even Ganapatya Parampara, even if you look at Ganapati Atharvashesha, in Ganapati Atharvashesha, it says Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, everything is being done by you only. So all the 5 paramparas consider their Ishtadevata as the Paramatma only. But if you come out of some Sampradaya perception and look at it from a distance, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesha, Durga, Ganapati, Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, Nigraha, Anugraha. These 5 aspects are attributed to those 5 devatas. These 5 are essential activities for the creation. If for a moment the Srishti stops, everything is going to be destroyed. If for some moment Laya stops, if somebody doesn't die, if somebody stops aging, what is going to happen? So we need to age and we need to die for the sustenance of the creation. Similarly, Shakti, regulation also needs to be done for the sake of for balance. And Anugraha means space. If there is no space, how this creation is going to happen? So Anugraha, Ganapati facilitates the space for all these four things to be done. So all these are action of Paramatma only in the form of these five devatas. Paramatma manifests himself as Shiva and does Laya activity. Paramatma himself manifests himself as Vishnu and looks after the Sthiti. It means sustainability. Today, the whole world is talking about sustainability. Fundamentally, Vishnu's job is sustenance. Sthitikaraka, Srishtikaraka, Sthitikaraka, Layakaraka. These are the three essential devatas, and Vishnu's job is Sthiti. Sthiti, Yajno vai Vishnuhu. He's saying, there is Veda is saying, Yajna itself is Vishnu. Means for the sustenance of the planet, Yajna needs to be happen. If Yajna stops, everything is going to collapse. Yajna does not mean only the fire worship, the so-called fire worship, the Swaha we do in Yajna Kunda. It is not only the Yajna. Yajna has a very larger meaning. So for the sustenance, Vishnu is required, and that wisdom, how to do Yajna, what is Yajna, is known through the Veda or Vedic wisdom facilitates the sustainability activities. So let us go forward and understand the dharma more clearly. So this is samashti. Samashti is a larger unit. Let us understand this through some units. Samashti or badi ikai means a larger unit. So there is larger unit and smaller unit. Choti ikai, Veshti and samashti is there. And between the larger unit and smaller unit, there is a transaction. For example, let us consider this larger unit as a company. And that company has some people as employees. And the company looks after the yogakshema of its employee or a family. And that family, a family of employee, is Choti Ikai, a small unit. So a small unit's yogakshema is being looked after by a larger unit called company. Yoga means attaining something, achieving something, or getting something, acquiring something is yoga, is known as a unification of something is called yoga. And for example, there is a Gajakesar yoga, Raja yoga, like that. There are many yogas. Yoga means essentially attaining something or acquiring something. Kshema means protecting that we already have. So yoga and kshema are both essential. We have to earn money and we also have to protect that money. It applies to everything else. So Yogakshema is looked after by the larger unit. And in return to the Yogakshema, we get salary, insurance, PF, and social security, social recognition, and many things from a company as an employee. In return, we do karma. And by doing the karma, we get karma phala. That with our duty or with our work, that company generates certain karma phala. And that karma phala needs to be given back to us, and be a small unit, a family needs to be more loyal and more dedicated towards the company and do certain things in return. So therefore, this is how this chain goes on, and this is yajna. Let us understand this in a different way. Badi Ikai, a larger unit, is a guru, and that guru looks after students' yogakshema, and the students in return does some guru seva and learns vidya from the guru. By doing that, he gets some karma phala in the form of vidya, unnati, growth, enrichment, evolution, and everything is karma phala for him. And the student has to use that wisdom, evolution, clarity, physical health, and everything that he has got from his guru needs to be used again to teach somebody else. That shishya needs to become a teacher and teach somebody else and do the same thing that his guru has done. Then only that vidya or that parampara is going to continue. So learning something from a guru and teaching it to somebody else is also yajna. Working in a company, getting salary and all benefits, and providing the same thing to some other, starting some other company, or guiding some new youngsters to join that company, or doing some consultation in any niswartha karya. By doing that, we give it back to the society or the company, and that helps grow the society. So this is the process of yajna. Even in the Vedic yajna, in the ritual, Vedic yajna ritual also is form of giving something to devatas. We don't give ahutis to devatas only. By doing a yajna, we provide employment for many people, including the acharya or panditji or purohita of the yajna. If you have to perform a yajna in Rajasuya yajna, Soma yajna, like big yajnas, rajas and kings and everything, everybody used to perform earlier, even Vaishyas used to perform. That yajna needs multiple workforce, and all of them used to get livelihood through the activity of yajna. If you look at if somebody does the research on socio-economic dimension of yajna, you'll get to know that if some yajna happens, only 10 to 15% of the expenses used to go to the Brahmin or the Acharya, Rutvij, everybody, and remaining 85% gets distributed into many social segments, including Shudras. So if some yajna is happening in a village, even Shudra community of that village gets benefited. And ecologically, it's beneficial for the village, socially, economically. And a yajna unites everybody emotionally, culturally. So a yajna enriches a village. Therefore, it is called yajna. And this is a different, completely different aspect to do a socio-economical and political benefits of doing big yajnas. And yajnas happen in this way: Garhapatya Agni, Dakshina Agni, and Ahavani Agni. 3 Agnis will be there, and between those Agnis there will be an Antarvedi. This is a Shrauta yajna procedure and yajna kunda layout. Let us move ahead. In yajna there are 2 types: Vidhi yajna and Jivan yajna. Vidhi yajna means Smarta yajna, Shrauta yajna, Soma yagas, Rajasuya yaga, Vajpayee yaga. All these are Vidhi yajnas. And Jivan yajna, the example that I gave about a student and teacher, learning from a teacher and giving it back to the society, also is yajna. And this yajna has been institutionalized through the practices. There are Pancha Mahayajnas, 5 Mahayajnas you might have heard about: Deva Yajna, Pitra Yajna, Bhuta Yajna, Manusha Yajna, and Brahma Yajna. Deva Yajna is giving ahutis to devatas, and that has its own dimensions. Deva Yajna, Pitra Yajna. Pitra Yajna is doing Pitra Karmas, doing Tarpana, Shraddha, and everything. It has its own benefit. We will look at it some other time. Deva Yajna, Pitra Yajna. Manusha Yajna, feeding people, is also part of Panchamahayajna. You might have noticed that in earlier days, people used to have lunch only after feeding somebody. They used to go to the temple or somewhere to see if somebody is traveling somewhere and staying there in the temple, they used to call them to the house. आप आज हमारा घर आ जाइए, आज भोजन कीजिए. Like that, people used to find people to feed. Today, the social system has changed a lot, largely due to the metropolitan city, larger cities. This is not possible today. But even in villages, even today, you might see this culture. Atithi Devo Bhava. Atithi is Deva. This is why it has been established. Deva Yajna, Pitra Yajna, Manusha Yajna. Bhuta Yajna. Bhuta Yajna is feeding animals and looking after the forest and everything. Bhuta, Panchamaha Bhuta Yajna. So, Bhuta Yajna. And final one is Brahma Yajna. Brahma Yajna is teaching. Adhyapanam Brahma Yajna. In Manusmriti, Manu says Adhyapanam Brahma Yajna. Teaching something to somebody is Brahma Yajna. So, this Yajna process systematically has been institutionalized and brought into practices through simple practices. People say, hey, Atithi Bhagavan hota hai. They do not know that they are doing Atithi Yajna, but they are practicing some Panchamaha Yajna. They do not understand all the subtle aspects, but it's there in their day-to-day lives. Similarly, we might do some puja in our house and do some homa also, and we do not know that we are doing some part of Panchamaha Yajna. So this is how we did not teach scriptures to everybody, but we institutionalized practices that sustains this society, this creation. Therefore, this wisdom has come from Veda. Therefore, it is said, Veda hi yajnartham abhipravrittaha. We got this wisdom through Vedas. And Jivana Yajna, Satya, Paropakara, Dana, Shila. These characteristics, if we apply on ourselves, if we educate ourselves to follow Satya, do Paropakara, and do Dana properly. Dana is different, Dakshina is different. So we should not mistake between, get confused between Dana and Dakshina. Dana is completely different. Dakshina is part of Yajna, Dana is not. Dana is completely a different practice. So all these are Jivana Yajna. These things are not part of that ritualistic Yajna, but they are also Yajna, Jivana Yajna and Vidhi Yajna. These two types of Yajnas are there. And if we do not do this Yajna, it affects the creation, the society, our family. Also, personally, we cannot evolve ourselves spiritually if we don't do the Yajnas. Therefore, a person to be liberated, a society to function, a family to function, as a planet to sustain, Yajna is essential activity in the form of Vidhi Yajna and Jivana Yajna. Therefore, and where this wisdom come from? This wisdom has come from Veda. Therefore, we say Veda says that Veda hi yajnartham abhipravrittaha. Now let us see what is Veda. Ishtapraptaye anishtaparyaharaya alaukikam margam yo vedayati sa vedaha. Ishtapraptaye, जो इष्ट है उसे प्राप्त करने के लिए, that we need, that we like, that we wish, if we want to acquire it, if we want to attain it, and anishta pariharaya, if we do not like something, if we are averse towards something, if something is harmful for us, if something is causing suffering for us, how to get rid of it? Ishta praptaye anishta parihaya, for both alaukikam margam, that which shows us the alaukika path is known as Veda. Alaukikam margam yo vedayati sa vedaha. Laukika marga and alaukika marga. There are two paths. So Veda shows us alaukika path to get rid of something that is causing suffering to us and to attain something that we wish. So fulfilling wishes, fulfillment of wishes and getting rid of unwanted things. These two are the essential outcome of Veda, and that Veda's path is alaukika path, not laukika path. This we should understand. And pratyakshena anumityava yastu upayo na buddhyate. Etam vidanti vedena tasmat vedasya vedata. This is the description of Veda. What is Veda? Pratyakshena. By pratyaksha or by anumana, if we unable to understand something, if we unable to know something, those things are known by Vedas. Those things were, what to say? Etam vidanti, with jnane labhe sattayam. These three meanings come from vid dhatu. Etam vidanti. We get to know these things through Veda. Therefore, it is called as Veda. What is the meaning of Veda? Etam vidanti, with jnane labhe sattayam. These three meanings come from the Veda. So let us understand the pratyaksha. Pratyaksha, if we see something, here I have a phone. If somebody says, what is it? I will say it is phone. How I'm able to say this is a phone? Because it is pratyaksha. It is my experience. Therefore, it is pratyaksha pramana. And anumana. Anumana is guessing. Vanhi dhuma. There is a famous nyaya in Shastras, example in Shastras, Vanhi and Dhuma Nyaya. If we see some smoke somewhere, we immediately say that there is some fire. If you are going in a forest and if we see some smoke somewhere, we immediately suspect that, we immediately anticipate that there is fire. How do we do that? We assume or anticipate or we the fire based on the smoke, because we know that smoke comes from the fire only. How? We have seen fire in earlier times. Therefore, based on our previous experience, we are able to guess the fire by looking at the smoke. This is the process of anumana. Therefore, anumana also has its foundation in pratyaksha. Without pratyaksha anubhuti, if somebody has not seen fire in his entire life, by looking at smoke, he will not be able to guess the fire. He needs to have a previous experience of fire, then only he will guess by looking at smoke. So therefore, anumana also has its foundation in pratyaksha. What if we do not have pratyaksha and we do not we cannot do anumana also? What is the way to know something? Shabda means Veda. If something is something has come from the Veda or Shastra, it is pramana, it is authentic knowledge, because it is based on somebody's pratyaksha experience. The Rishi's experience has been compiled as Shastra and Vedas, right? Therefore, it is somebody's pratyaksha anumana in the form of Shabda, in the form of Veda. Therefore, pratyaksha pramana, anumana pramana, and Shabda pramana. These three are source of knowledge for us. And let us look at Bharatiya knowledge system as a whole. If you look at it, if you call it as an Indic knowledge system or Bharatiya knowledge system, we can divide it into two parts, Vidya and Kala. There are only two parts, Vidya and Kala. We can put all the Vedic knowledge, Vidyas, into one category and other knowledges into Shilpa. There is no other category. We look at through these two categories only. So let us get to know the Vidyas. Vidya, I said Vidya and Kala is there. Let us look at Vidya. Angani Vedas Chatvaro Mimamsan Nyaya Vistara Dharma Shastram Puranancha Vidya Hetas Chaturdasha. This is from Yajnavalkya Smriti, third shloka of Yajnavalkya Smriti. In this shloka, Yajnavalkya says, Vedas Chatvaraha, 4 Vedas, Mimamsa, 5th one, Nyaya Vistaraha, Dharma Shastram, Puranancha. So it is 8. We have to add Angani Vedaha. Angani means 6 limbs of Veda. Shiksha, Vyakarana, Chanda, Nirukta, Jyotisha, Kalpa. So these are 14 Vidyas according to the Yajnavalkya. So in our parampara, we consider Chaturdasha Vidya. This is known as Chaturdasha Vidyas. Angani, Shiksha, Vyakarana, Chanda, Nirukta, Jyotisha, and Kalpa. These are the 6 Angas of Veda. Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samveda, Atharvaveda, Mimamsa, Nyaya, Dharma Shastra, Purana. These are 14 Vidyas. Vidyasthanas, not Vidyas, Vidyasthanas. We can find Vidya in these 14 seats of knowledge, 14 Vidyasthana. Apart from that, we find another reference in Vishnu Purana, Ayurvedo, Dhanurvedo, Gandharvaschetite Trayah, Arthashastram Chaturthantu, Vidya Hyashta Dashaivataha. In the 15th century, Madhusudana Saraswati also repeats this 18 classifications. According to Madhusudana Saraswati and Vishnu Purana, Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Gandharva Veda, and Arthashastra. These 4 Upavedas are also Vidyas. So, by Yajnavalkya's parampara and by Vishnu Purana, we get to know that there are 18 Vidyas, Ashtadasha Vidyas. These are 18 seats of the Vidyas. What are they? Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samveda, Atharvaveda, Shiksha, Vyakarana, Chanda, Nirukta, Jyotisha, Kalpa. These are Shadangas and 4 Veda. Purana, Nyaya, Mimamsa, Dharma Shastra, Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Gandharva Veda, Arthashastra. So these are 8 Vedas. We have 2 divisions. In Kala also we have subdivisions. In Kala, 64 Kalas according to Vatsyayana. There is something called Vatsyayana Kama Sutra. You might have heard about it. In Vatsyayana Kama Sutra, Vatsyayana lists out 64 Kalas. Sangeeta, Nritya, and many of Ratna Pariksha, Sarana Pariksha, Dyuta Vidya. Like many 64 Vidyas are there mentioned in the Vatsyayana Kama Sutra, first Adhikarana, third chapter. Apart from those 64 Kalas, there are 64 Kalas in Shilpa Shastra also. Shilpa means Agastya, Parashara, Vasishtha. There are many rishis who have compiled many industrial knowledge and everything. That Shilpa Shastra also has 64 Kalas. Let us look at into it. This is a Shilpa Shastra, introduction to Shilpa Shastra. In Shilpa Shastra, we have Vastu Khanda, Sadhana Khanda, and Dhatu Khanda. 3 divisions are there in Shilpa Shastra. So in Vastu Khanda, Veshma Shastra, Prakara Shastra, Nagara Rachana Shastra, and Yantra Shastra. These 4 Shastras are there in that particular Khanda. And in Sadhana Khanda, Nauka Shastra, Ratha Shastra, Agni Shastra, 3 Shastras. In Dhatu Khanda, Krishi Shastra, Jala Shastra, Khani Shastra. And these Shastras have their own Vidyas also. Vasa Vidya, Kuti Vidya, Mandara Vidya, Prasada Vidya, Durga Vidya, Akara Vidya, Yuddha Vidya, Kuta Vidya, Apana Vidya, Devalaya Vidya, Vanopanaya Vidya, Janavasa Vidya, Rajagraha Vidya. These are all part of Vastu Khanda. Tari Vidya, Nau Vidya, Nauka Vidya, Ashwavidya, Pantha Vidya, Ghantapatha Vidya, Setu Vidya. Like that, there are Vidyas in all the 3 Khandas. In these Vidyas, there are Patabandha Kala, Mritsadhana Kala, Trinachadana Kala, Churnarepa Kala, Varnakrama Kala, Darukarma Kala, Mritkarma Kala. Like that, there are 3 Khandas, 3 divisions in Shilpa Shastra, and 10 Shastras are there. Veshma Shastra, Prakara Shastra, and so on. And 32 Vidyas, Vasa Vidya, Kuti Vidya, Mandira Vidya, and so on. There are 32 types of Vidyas and 64 Kala. Karshana Vidya, Karshana Kala, Ropana Kala, Vikara Kala, Kriti Kala, Sarathya Kala, Doha Kala, Gati Shiksha Kala, Palyanapa Kala, Charma Ganiraha Kala. Like that, 64 arts. If we 64 arts of India, people think that Gita and Nritya, music, dance, and everything comes in 64 colors and nothing else. Even in Wikipedia, if you search 64 art forms, Wikipedia also shows the Vatsayana's list of 64 kala only. Because this Shilpa Shastra has been destroyed systematically by the colonial education system. This Shilpa includes even engineering and town planning, even navy also. So naval aspects also is there. So all the sciences, all the physical sciences, and all the industrial knowledge and town planning and everything related to our life, worldly life, and this system of education has been destroyed, and we hardly find any books also from the Shilpa Shastra. We find books of Vatsayana's Kama Sutra and Vatsayana's based on the Vatsayana Kama Sutra, we find books on 64 colors only. Recently, Madhya Pradesh government has published a booklet on 64 colors, and that also list of Vatsayana's Kama Sutra only. There is nobody, no institution in India that is working on this Shilpa Shastra, this aspect of Shilpa Shastra. So now we have got to know about 18 Vidyas and different Vidya and Kala. Let us look at all these 18 Vidyas one by one. Sargascha, let us start with Purana. Sargascha, Pratisargascha, Vamsho, Manvantaranicha, Vamshanucharitam Chaiva, Puranam, Panchalakshanam. These 5 aspects are the essential characteristic of a Purana. Sarga, Sarga means Srishti. Pratisarga means Pralaya. Vamsha, the clan. Vamshaka Kal, the timeline of the timeline of the clan. And Vamshake Charitra and Itihasa, Charitra and Charitra are right words to be used. History is different. History has something different connotation. So Vamshaka Charitra, Sarga, Pratisarga, Vamsha, Kala, Vamshake Charitra. If there are these 5 aspects in something, that is known as Purana. So we have 18 such Puranas and 18 Upapuranas. So these Puranas used to be recited. If we start reading some Purana, the Purana starts by Ekada Naimisharanya. Once upon a time in Naimisharanya, 12 years Satra Yaga happened. In that Satra Yaga of 12 years, many people used to visit that place, that Yagashala, and Rishis or Ritvijas who are participating in that Yajna used to sit and listen to the guests. So these Suta people also had come there, and they used to tell their stories that has come from their parampara. Vedavyasa Maharshi was also present at that venue for 12 years, and he, while listening to the Puranas from Sutas, he documented all those Puranas. He did not imagine and write them. He wrote according to the narration of the Sutas. So therefore, the Suta tradition is the source of those Puranas, and they used to do rigorous research before telling the Purana to the people. You might even see the geographical knowledge in the Puranas. Jambu Dvipa, Plakshadvipa, Shalmaladvipa, Kushadvipa, Kraunchadvipa, Shakadvipa, Pushkaradvipa. These are the Saptadvipas, and it means they had divided the whole planet into Saptadvipas, 7 Dvipas. So we Bharatiyas are living in the Jambu Dvipa. So Ilavrata Varsha, Bharata Varsha, Bhadrashu Varsha, Hari Varsha, Ketumal Varsha, Ramyaka Varsha, Hiranmaya Varsha, Uttarakuru Varsha, Kimpurusha Varsha. These are the 9 Varshas. Navavarsha, Saptadvipa, Navavarsha. This is completely geographical knowledge that is present in the Puranas. We are living in the 2nd Varsha, Ilavrata, Bharata Varsha. So we are part of Bharata Varsha. So this is how Sutas are not some religious preachers, they used to do proper research, and they used to worship some devata. Shaiva Sutas used to narrate the Shiva Puranas, and Vaishnava Sutas used to narrate Vishnu Purana. In their narration, their own devata, Ishta devata, used to be the center point. We may see Vishnu Purana, Shiva Purana, Brahmanda Purana, many Puranas are there that can be categorized into Sattvika, Rajasika, Tamasika, and Shaiva Purana, Vaishnava Purana, Saura Purana, Shakta Purana, and Ganapati Purana. So all the 5 sampradayas that I spoke earlier had Suta people. Suta means it's a name of a jati, name of a community. So that community used to travel across the country and collect information and narrate the story to the people. And Puranas are nothing but education to the masses. So Ramayana, Mahabharata, these 2 are known as Itihasa, are part of the Purana only. So we got to know about Puranas. Now let us move into Darshanas. In the Yajnavalkya Shloka, he said Purana, Nyaya, Mimamsa. Nyaya, Mimamsa. These 2 are major Shastras, major Darshanas. And Vaisheshika has its dissolved into Nyaya. It's called as Samavesha. Vaisheshika Samavesha becomes into Nyaya, and Uttamimamsa's Samavesha becomes into Purvamimamsa. So essentially, Nyaya Vaisheshika is one Shastra, Purvamimamsa is one Shastra. So Purana, Nyaya, Mimamsa. And Sankhya Yoga also becomes Samavesha into other darshanas. Purana, Nyaya, Mimamsa, Dharma Shastra. Third one is Dharma Shastra. Dharma Shastra contains many aspects. As I said earlier, people say, ये शास्त्रों में लिखा है क्या, शास्त्रों में है क्या, ऐसा पूछते हैं, मगर शास्त्र क्या है ऐसा पता नहीं होता है. And also I said, if something is called as Shastra, it will have its specific name attached to it. Prefix will be there. Bhauta Shastra, Ganita Shastra, Ratha Shastra, like that. Dharma Shastra. Shastra is not one. There are various Shastras, and we have to use its prefix properly to go to that specific domain. If we say Dharma Shastra, we go to certain domain. If we say Bhauta Shastra, we will go to certain domain. If we say Artha Shastra, we will go to certain domain. Therefore, the term Shastra should not be used loosely for everything. So in Dharma Shastra, we have Dharma Sutras, Vasishtha Dharma Sutra, Gautama Dharma Sutra, and many other sutras are there. Based on those sutras, Yajnavalkya Smriti, Harita Smriti, Vasishtha Smriti, Gautama Smriti, Parashara Smriti, Narada Smriti, like that there are many Smritis. Even today we have at least 54 Smritis intact. 54 Smritis are available in print. We have lost other Smritis. And it is very difficult for people to understand the Smritis and Sutras directly. Therefore, Nibandha Granthas have been written by many scholars. For example, Dharma Sindhu, Nirnaya Sindhu, Virmitrodaya, Vidhana Parijata. Like that, there are many Nibandha texts, Nibandha books, and we can simply go through them and understand many aspects of the Dharma. And the Kalpa has Shauta Sutra, Grihya Sutra, Agama, Purana, Ratakalpa, Hemadri. How to do Satyanarayana Puja is a Kalpa. You might have seen Kalpokta Puja Vidhanamu. The book's title will be like that. Kalpokta Puja Vidhi. So it is part of Kalpa. Kalpa has Shauta Sutras, Grihya Sutras. Grihya Sutras are essentially the domestic rituals. Shrauta Sutras are yajna, big yajnas. Agama is related to temples and other rituals. Purana is related to the domestic rituals again. For the people who did not study Veda. Ratakalpa, Hemadri, there is a book called Hemadri, Chaturvarga Chintamani. It contains all the rituals of Bharatiya land. And it has 6 books, 6 volumes. If you look at the Hemadri, you will get to know all the rituals of Bharat. And in Niti Shastra, we have Vidurniti, Shukraniti, Chanakyaniti, Bhartrhari, Hitopadesha, Panchatantra, Subhashita, all gets compiled into a Niti Shastra. And Dandaniti, Anushasaniya Parva, Dandaniti, Arthashastra, all come under Dandaniti. All these Dharma Sutras, Smriti, Nibandha, Kalpa, Niti, and Dandaniti collectively are called as Dharma Shastra. So, Purana, Nyaya, Mimamsa, Dharma Shastra, Vedasthanani. Now we will come to Veda. In Veda, we have Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka. These are three parts of the Veda. Samhita is known as Upasana Kanda, Brahmana is known as Karma Kanda, Upanishad or Aranyaka is known as Jnana Kanda. So, Kandatrayatmako Vedaha. These three essential parts of the Veda. So, all these three parts are collectively called as Aranyaka, are collectively called as Mula. For example, if some Vedic student comes to me and says, I'm studying Veda, I won't ask him, I will not ask him, in which standard are you? In which grade are you? There will be no grades like first standard, second standard, third standard. The system doesn't work like that. What I will ask him is, what have you completed? He might say, I have completed Mula. It doesn't matter how many years have been, how many years he has been studying and which class he is. We consider the grantha, we consider the content only. So the Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka collectively known as Mula, and there are Ashtavikatis, Jata, Mala, Shikha, Rekha, Dhvajo, Dando, Ratho, Ghanaha. These are the six Vikriti Pathas, and we have Shadangas, Shiksha, Vyakarana, Chanda, Nirukta, Jyotisha, Kalpa. So these are the three aspects of the Veda. And approximately it takes 6 years to study Mula, 3 years to study Vikriti Pathas, and 3 years to study the 6 limbs of the Veda. Apart from the Vedas, they study Kavya, Nataka, Darshana, Itihasa, Purana. So in the introduction of 14 Vidyas, we have completed Purana, Nyaya, Mimamsa, Dharma Shastra, Veda. Completed. And 6 limbs also we have completed. Now let us go into Upavedas, Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Gandharva Veda, Sthapatya Veda. In some texts, they say Sthapatya Veda is the 4th limb, 4th Upaveda. In some other references, we will find that Arthashastra is the 4th Upaveda. Therefore, we have to consider Sthapatya and Arthashastra both as the 4th Upaveda. These are the 4 Upavedas. This is here this complete the 18 Vidyas. We got to know about 18 Vidyas like this. And as I said earlier, Veda, purpose of the Veda is to facilitate yajna, the life. Yajna itself is life only yajna. So to understand our life and sustain our planet, live a good life, to have a proper family, to arrange a proper society, to nurture everybody, we have to perform yajna in terms of ritual and in terms of other aspects also. And this wisdom has come from the Veda, and thus that wisdom has come through mantras in the form of realization for the rishis. Rishis used to do thorough research. Bharatiya research methodology is completely different. There is a big misconception that rishis used to do tapasya, and as a result of the tapasya, they have got the Vedas. But what we know about the tapasya? From the childhood, we might have seen that tapasya means in Ramayana and Mahabharata serials, somebody sits like this and some cave or some rock and says Om Namah Shivaya, or Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Narayana. So this has been represented as a tapas in popular form. Even in comics also, we see this as a tapas. But have you paid attention to it? It is essentially Nama Mantra Japa. He is doing the Japa of Nama Mantra. He is uttering somebody's name. It is known as Nama Mantra Japa. Nama Mantra Japa is not tapas. Tapas means actually research. striving for the evolution, striving to know something. Striving to know something is known as tapas, not doing namajapa. Namajapa is some upasana, not the tapas. So we have to understand the difference between the popular tapas and actual process of tapas. We don't have that distinction. Therefore, it seems illogical and it seems impossible for us that to understand the process of realization of mantra. If somebody says mantras were revealed to rishis, we think, how is it possible? How is it possible? There is a room to enhance our ability to perceive. If somebody is, if we are walking in some place, we will be able to experience certain things in that place. But if we do enough sadhana internally, if we enhance our ability of our sense organs and perception, we will be able to experience more things in the same place. For example, I will tell you that if somebody is doing some spiritual sadhana regularly and following certain practices, he goes into some temple, he will have different experience within himself. And if somebody is not following those things, and if he goes into temple, he will have certain experiences. So based on our internal enhancement of ability, we will perceive outer things. So in that manner, rishis had enhanced their abilities to perceive to a certain level that they were able to perceive certain things, and based on that perception, they uttered something in the form of mantra, and that mantra got compiled into Veda. Veda was not written by somebody. Some people did not sat together and discussed something and decided something and wrote it down. It is experience of rishis, and they uttered something, and that utterance had wisdom, and that got compiled into Veda in the form of Veda. And later Vedavyas Rishi classified them into 4. Therefore, we need not use the plural word that Vedas, Veda, singular meaning one, singular word only. Veda, there is no multiple Vedas. Veda is one that has been divided into 4 for the sake of convenience to perform yajna. Rigveda Pandit does the Hotru's job. Like in operation theater, surgeon does certain thing, a nurse does certain thing, and anesthesian does certain thing. They divide the work within themselves and perform an operation. Similarly, Rigveda person does certain job. Ayurveda person does Advaryu's job. Udgatru, Samvedi does Udgatru's job. Like that, they divide the work and perform certain yajna. So for performing Shrauta yajna, we need all 4 Vedas. So therefore, there are no 4 actually. Veda is only one that is divided into 4 parts, 4 sampradayas for the sake of convenience. Like medical science is one, but different people do different things in the medical field. Similarly, Veda is one, but it got divided into different shakhas, different names for the sake of function, for the utility of the functionality. Therefore, this 4 Vedas is completely a Western lens. We have to understand this. Veda is one that has come through rishis in the form of realization in the higher state of consciousness. If somebody has some questions, they may ask, and I will conclude this here. Thank you.
Yes, Dattaraj ji. I think a lot of misconceptions we were gone through your talk. I think we got a lot of clarity, especially when we say Shastra. I think that's the biggest misconception, and how beautifully explained that it is a scientific word, scientific instead of Shastras. And how in our system of education also they have removed Shastra and then placed the Vigyan.
Vigyana.
It's very important for us to bring it back. And then also your explanation of Yajna. And then I'll just relate a small quote from our Guruji, who also said about the Yajna is the cosmic principle of Yajna is based on which the planetary system, body metabolism, and time cycles operate. The principle of Yajna is the working of welfare of all and sustaining out of the results generated, being a part of the whole. So he explains beautifully with a very simple example. A common example of this cosmic principle is the functioning of a human body. The hand does not eat but feeds the mouth. The mouth masticates the food and passes it off to the stomach without retaining anything for itself. Likewise, all the parts of the body work in a selfless but well coordinated manner, and all of them in turn receive nourishment and sustenance out of the energy generated from their consolidated work as a group. If anyone in the group becomes selfish, the entire cycle is disturbed, causing disease in the body, which is the plane of the universe appears as a catastrophe. So I think this is a beautiful plane, Dr. Vedavyas. I thought I'll share with everyone. We have a couple of questions.
Very nice.
Yeah, we have a couple of questions. We'll take it. Actually, there's one comment from Professor Ghanapathi. He says, "Karma ki pradhanata ho, dharma ka utkarsh hoga." So he says karma is important, and then dharma will automatically utkarsh hoga. There's one question from Shekiri. Actually, you have mentioned vast ancient knowledge, and out of these, all these Vidyas, are there anything which UGC has approved at a university level, any of these Vidyas? Or
Okay. As I said earlier, it takes at least 12 years to study one Veda completely. I even gave a timeline, how many years for which part. Mula takes 6 years, the Vikriti Pathas takes 3 years, Vedangas 3 years, 12 years of study. But in the current education system, we have uniform education until 12th standard for everyone. If somebody wants to study Veda, they have to complete 12th standard, then only they can start something. So the 12 years is wasted already. Even in Upanayana, you might have seen in Upanayana, during the Vratadesha, the father says to son that Idanim brahmacharyasi, now you are brahmachari, Dvadasha varshani, Vedagrahanantam va, brahmacharyam kuru, 12 years, or at least until the completion of Vedic study, you should remain brahmachari. So it means our ancestors know that they have clearly structured a system that it takes 12 years at least.
Yeah.
So after 12 years in modern education has been made compulsory to go through that rotten system of primary school, high school, and pre-university college. After completion of pre-university college, they can study these 18 Vidyas in any universities. There are many Sanskrit universities and other universities also. Through the Sanskrit department, they can study. But studying these Vidyas is a different thing. Different thing means studying about Veda and studying Veda are completely different thing. Somebody may study about Rigveda. There are many people who talk about Rigveda, but if you ask them to recite some Vedic chant, they cannot, because they haven't learned it properly through the Guru-shishya tradition, and they are unable to do the performance of the ritual that were prescribed in the Veda. They can talk about Veda, but they did not study Veda. Studying the form of Veda is different. Studying Veda itself is different.
Yeah.
So form of Vidya is being studied in universities. what Kalidasa has said when he was there and what he wrote. So people study about Kalidasa and his literature, but they do not study his Kavya completely. So in traditional way of study, we do not study about Vidya. So even in that about study, the frivolous, the form of study happens only for 3 years. There are courses like BA in Rigveda, MA in Rigveda, BA in Vyakarana, like that there are many courses. But in those 3 years, one cannot complete the study. That too only 10 to 5, only in daytime, with multiple holidays, without doing the seva of Guru. So one has to do sahavasa or live with Guru to understand certain principles. How the Guru sits while doing Sandhya Vandana, how he wakes, when he wakes up, what he does, how he speaks. The minute things are essential for learning. If a teacher and student don't live together, that aspect of education is gone. And the teacher comes at 10 o'clock and he explains something for 45 minutes and he goes back. There is no connection between. So with the limited time of 3 years, and that too limited time of in a day, only 10 to 5 or 10 to 9 to 4 or something, and multiple holidays and multiple other deviations, one cannot complete the study of Veda or any Vidya in 3 years. It becomes only knowing something about the Vidya, and they write an exam and they get a degree. So the as UGC has approved Vidyas as a graduation courses, that too after the pre-university college, and only limited to only 3 years, and post graduation is also 2 years only. Even if in 5 years one cannot study one shastra completely. Shastri and Acharya degrees are there in many universities. In that they get to know about certain parts of some shastra, not complete study of one shastra. But our parampara says, Ekam Shastra Madhiyano Nagachet Shastra Nishya, Nakuryat Shastra Nirnaya. Means one who has studied only one shastra, only one stream of one branch of science, should not decide anything about shastra. Even in Sushruta Samhita, Sushruta says, if somebody knows only Ayurveda, he should not do treatment. He should know many sciences. So multidisciplinary approach. So we need sufficient time to study at least 2 or 3 shastras in our lifetime. Therefore, this 1 to 12 compulsory education needs to be removed, and people should have access to any particular shastra from the beginning only. So only then it is possible to acquire knowledge completely in shastras.
Yes, I think only Gurukula system of education can back this. Yeah, I think UGC 3 years and all may not work out. So there's one more question from Pradeep Chandra. Kindly explain about Suta community's speciality. Suta community's speciality, which you mentioned.
Okay. Even in Satyanarayana Katha and every Vrata Katha story, you might have heard about the Sutas. Suta Munulu Chappuga Rushalandaru Vintunaru. The stories and Rishis are listening. So this Suta is a community that is what to say, in Varnashrama system. In Varnashrama, people from different Varnas, Sutas are essentially born for the parents who belong to different Varnas and not married. So that child is considered as a Suta. So there was a, like the Hijra community, there was an entire community of Sutas, and their profession is to do the research and narrate the Puranas in villages. They used to travel and explain the stories like Harikatha Dasa. Harikatha, people tell Harikatha these days. This Harikatha is a little later development. So Sutas were much more higher, better scholars than these Harikatha people. They used to do their own research and tell it. And they also had their own Upasana Paddhati. They used to do Upasana of Shiva, Vishnu, Saura, and they used to keep their Upasya Devata in the center. Therefore, you see in Shiva Purana, Shiva is the ultimate and Shiva is the Paramatma only. In Vishnu Purana, Vishnu is the Paramatma only. So therefore, they belong to certain sampradaya, Shaiva, Vaishnava, Shakta, Ganapatya, and Saura, and they had their own version of Kala and everything. Sarga, Pratisarga, Vamsha, Manvantara, and Vamsha Charitra. There are Surya Vamsha, Chandra Vamsha. There are two main clans are there, two Vamshas. And in which Vamsha, which Raja done what was his ruling and what was his Upasana and everything. And during the storytelling, they used to also include the Dharma Shastra aspects also. For example, Manu says certain things in Manusmriti. We get the repetition of that Manu's word in many Puranas with slightly one or two words difference. How to do the Punya Snana. If you go to some Tirtha Kshetra, how to do the Snana. It is written in many Puranas with the reference of Smritis. But they do not tell that this has been said by some Smriti. They don't give bibliography or reference in the end. They just narrate it as a story. In that story, Dharma Shastra also gets included. This is how Suta community used to function. Even today, we have communities like Bhagavat, Puranic. Many surnames are there. They come from such parampara. Earlier, now the Varna and Ashrama system is not that much prevalent. Therefore, we do not see that community now. After the invasions, Mughal invasions, traveling and gathering people and telling these stories was also had become tough. I think that community has got into some other communities, I think.
Yeah, here. I think that's a nice explanation. And yeah, as time goes, I think a lot of these Varnas also, they are merging into other education system, and then we are losing. I think when I met you, and Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal is doing a great job in identifying these communities and trying to establish specific Gurukulas for them. So one, I think in Varanasi, you mentioned last time, there was a Gurukul which is being established to basically revive these kind of community and their skills. So that's a wonderful thought. And I would like to thank Dattaraj ji for his time and then effort in taking up this talk. And I once again thank you, Dattaraj ji. Namaste. And we would also like our audiences who have joined us on this Rishi Vatika YouTube channel. And tomorrow we have session at 10:30. Shri Narendra Kapreji will be talking on introduction to the Rigveda. He'll give an introduction to Rigveda. And I request you all join tomorrow at 10:30. Thank you again, once again, Dattaraj ji. Namaste, and then we'll meet again.
Actually, I wanted to say one thing, that English is my not my day-to-day language, and formally I have not learned English. Therefore, speaking in English little bit difficult for me. Still I have tried today. Kindly excuse my improper grammatical mistakes or something else.
Yeah, I think the content and there was a lot of clarity, though I think English is good enough for us to understand. So I again thank you for presenting this in English so that it reaches a big audience. So thank you.
Yes.
And namaste. We'll meet again tomorrow at 10:30. Jai Gurudev.